Hi, I'm Valentina Bourbon and I'm the CEO of Banter Group. Thanks for joining me for Frasers Property Retailer Academy. This session is all about social media at an intermediate level, looking at content planning. I hope you enjoy it. Good morning and welcome to the Frasers Property Retailer Academy social media training. This session is for intermediate users and it's all around content planning. When we start looking at planning, the first thing you need to really consider is what your objective is, and there are certain tactics with that objective. So the three most common marketing objectives are brand awareness, acquisition, or what we normally call direct response, and we also have retention. So in the first column, brand and awareness, if I'm not aware of you as a business or a brand, the first part of your marketing needs to make me aware of who you are. So you need to reach that audience in the places that they are and generate awareness through your social posts and what you actually do. So that could be launching a new product. It could also just be, this is our team, this is where we're positioned, this is how you find us, our opening hours, and this is what we offer. Second, you've got acquisition or direct response. Now, if I'm aware of you, the next job of marketing is to convert me into a customer or a client. So that's where acquisition comes into play. Now, when you start to look at tactics around acquisition, it has to all be very easy for that customer to engage with you. So if it's lead generation or web to a lead form, that simply means that you're asking people to fill in a form perhaps or give you a call. It could be sending people from social media to your website, so from online, driving online sales, or online to offline being from your physical store presence into a digital environment. Now, one of the best ways to acquire customers or a database of customers is certainly to run a competition. And that also helps you to generate social media likes as well. And you've also got telephone leads, or what we also call progressive profiling, which is all about saying, I know this much about my customer right now, and if I ask one more question, I know a little bit more. And with each interaction, you'll actually build on that profile over time. The last marketing objective is certainly retention. Once you have a customer, you want to keep them and you also want to grow their tenure with you. So that's where the cross-sell, upsell comes into play. This is very much the McDonald's model. Would you like fries with that? We've got the engagement, loyalty, participation, so anything that can encourage a return visitor, usually off the back of a loyalty, being recognised for their engagement with you or their purchasing with you, and how you can reward them for that. Referrals, and also reinforcing a message that you are needed within this group of customers in that database. So when you're starting your planning, particularly with social media, start to consider, what is it that I'm trying to achieve? So one of these three boxes, and then making sure that you're deploying one of these tactics that follow. And that's what this session's all about. What are those tactics and how do they look? So before we go into actual planning and looking at content, we need to look at this social metrics map. And a lot of people get social metrics wrong. So I'm going to start at the very top here, and I'm going to just show you awareness. So this is a buyer's journey. I need to be aware of you before I can consider you. And if I can consider you, I'm likely to convert. And once I've converted, I'm going to be super happy. So at the awareness stage, the objective is awareness, and the strategy means that you have to expose your audience to who you are. Otherwise, I'm not going to be aware of you. Now, social media is a great place to be able to do that. Other media is also how you raise awareness. So then we look at the activity. This is posting and tagging, as it says here. Influencers are engaged. You might have promotions or competitions, boosting posts and sponsoring posts. Now, in terms of how this will perform, you're actually looking at impressions, reach, and a cost per impression. I'll explain those in a moment. And the ultimate impact is that you will have a share of voice, be top of mind with your customers, and have talkability. That's what brand awareness will deliver. Now, where most people go wrong is they say, oh, what I'm doing is creating awareness of my business, but I'm going to measure the impact down here. And that's not right. There's a whole lot of steps that they have to go through as a customer, and there's a whole lot of different things that you need to do to be able to get to this point in advocacy. So just to make sure that you understand some of these key performance indicators, impressions and reach are two of your most important metrics in social media. And impressions are the number of times your post has appeared in front of other people and appeared in their feed. Reach is how many people it was put in front of. So your reach number and your impressions number are always going to be different. Impressions are how many times it's appeared. Reach is how many people it's appeared for. So there's a good chance that me person has been a reach of 1, but an impression rate of maybe 5 to 10. I might have seen the same thing 5 to 10 times. So you have to make sure that you align what it is that you're trying to do here with the actions, the activities, and also how you're going to measure that it's working. So let's have a look at conversions. If I'm going to try and convert my customer, I have to look at driving the purchase conversion. That's my objective. My strategy is to move my customers into brand offers and engagement. So I need to give them something that they want and something that they can take action with. So my activity here is posts with a CTA, and a CTA is a call to action. What is it that you're asking people to do? Now that might be a shared link and targeted with a call to action. Do this now, expires tomorrow, countdown is on, give me something to hold on to. And our KPIs is how many people clicked on that link and also a cost per click, and that's what a CPC is. So ultimately the business impact is that you will have conversions. Now a conversion can be a lot of different things for different people. It could be that they've actually taken a purchase, actually clicked and purchased, or they've just become a sign up so that they could download some material. It could be signing up to your newsletter. That's still a conversion. So be careful with what you consider a conversion to be. Customers don't simply see something, take a click, buy it straight away. They need to be warmed up. It's like a relationship. They need to have a little romancing, usually before they can take that action, depending on the product and the service that you're selling. So keep that in mind when you're going through your planning, because most people get this very step very, very wrong. Next step in your planning is really to start looking at your content pillars and themes. Now, content pillars are the black heading at the top of what I'm about to start showing you, and it's what you have an authority to talk about. What follows underneath are the themes and the ideas that actually marry back to the pillars. So at a very local level, you could be talking about this is me, this is us, this is our team, this is where we've come from and our story and our history and how we've grown and why we got into this business. You could be offering very specific specials for locals on different days of the week to create habits. So things like a meat-free Monday recipe ideas is to simply get customers into the mindset that they can create these themes, and in their own household and their purchasing behavior, they will start to replicate this if they're fed the idea from businesses. So again, going through the list, pictures of different clients and their purchase and why someone may have chosen a certain product can actually inspire other people to do the same. It could be posting from other complementary businesses around you. So we've just had Mother's Day, for example. You might be able to say, here's a restaurant voucher coupled with a beauty voucher and put it together, and it's a wonderful Mother's Day pack. So it's actually shouting out and posting from other people. Part of this has to be your strategy, because social is not all about you. It's actually all about your customer. So you have to really put yourself in your customer's seat and say, what is it that they care about? What sort of things do they want to know? And what's going to give them validation or proof points that what you're doing is something that they need and they want to be a part of that. So further ideas, why you love your job. People like to buy from people that they like. So make yourself that likable person. Give people a reason to align themselves with you and say, I'm like you, I feel like you about the same things, and I want to then support you in business. So the last one here is localized events around generating foot traffic. Now that could be anything within individual centres or regions or communities. If there's going to be a lot of people around, you want to entice them over to you as well, and that's also part of your social planning. Your next content pillar could actually be all around your products and services. Now, this is a fairly straightforward pillar, I would suggest, and there's a TBT, a hashtag TBT. That's a Throwback Thursday. It's a big theme within social media to reflect and look back on our history and how we've grown or how we've developed. So a Throwback Thursday is certainly a great piece of content. It doesn't take a lot of effort, but it can be quite fun and people really enjoy seeing that. Next, we have community, and community is everything about you being the insider in your environment. Now, it is a little bit about you as much as it is about your community that you're in. You know this region the best, so inviting people into that community, telling people why they should come and see you, or that your whole centre, your whole retail outlet, how they're going to get there, what the parking options look like, if there's going to be special events on that they need to be aware of, and again, competitions, building huge databases. Now, when you're looking at competitions, this is a great opportunity to say, check in on your social media to say that you're here or tag a friend. Now, that also helps the algorithms in social media to say, we know where people are, we know how they're connected through their profiles, and then we can show this content to more people to encourage others to come along. So if I'm on Facebook, for example, and I see that my friend is at a certain venue doing a certain activity, there's a natural human reaction for that user, for me, to go, I'd like to be a part of that. Where are they? Oh, that sounds fun. Let's see if I can join in. So there's certainly a human element that comes to content planning and putting all of this into your social. Then one of your last pillars is personal. Now, this is a little bit about you, and it's what you specifically like to do or things that you support. So I've included things here like a charity of choice. If you do support a charity, talk about why you support it, why you're involved, if it has a personal relationship with you versus just something that you believe needs support, because people align themselves with other people that have similar sentiments. So if you're fairly religious, for example, you may want to talk about that if it's very important to you and that's a community that you serve. It could also be that you are an ambassador for perhaps a cancer charity locally, or anything that happens within your community that can make a difference. So for me, one of the things that I support is the guide dogs. I really believe that people with sight impairment should have support, and I also love dogs. So those two things made sense to me to support something, and it's something that I talk about. And I'm also a blood donor, because you can't buy blood. So I choose to donate it, and I like to talk about that to show and encourage other people that they perhaps might want to consider this. Now, the last one on here in the personal column is a lesson you've learned in the last year. Now, this is quite an important one for me, because I think that everybody is never too big to keep on growing and to keep on learning. And it humanizes you as a business owner to say, I have learned new things and things are changing, and I'm not too big to say that I've learned something different today, whether it be from a team member or from a client or a customer, or just something within business management. And I think it really shows growth and development as the human being that people like to see. So content ideas and different purposes, all of your content needs to have purpose. Now go back to being the customer and say to yourself, what is it that they want to see? Not what you want to tell them, but what they want to see. So this is where your storytelling comes in. We have got so much content available on social media that it needs to stand out. If you're going to be there, then you need to do it properly and support the platforms properly. And that means content that is thought through and actually tells a little bit of a story. There's so many different things that you could look at. Now, the first three here, trends that are happening. Now, there's no doubt that COVID-19 has had an impact on different trends and how we're moving through our community, what these events may look like in terms of being local, and also tagging people when you're writing in social media. So tagging is using the @ symbol, so that you can identify a business or an individual's profile and make sure that that is part of your posting. That actually really helps the algorithm. Next is answering different problems. Now, that's looking at a local issue that is not going to be reported on mainstream media because it's hyper local. And that's where you become super valuable in someone's feed. We are so time poor as customers now. We've got so many profiles to be able to follow, and we need to find value in yours to keep you in our feed. Now, if you can be hyper local, then I'm going to use you as my go-to positioning as opposed to mainstream media. So you can start asking questions, looking at different information and data and statistics. Also mixing up your content so that there's a mix between some videos, some pictures, and some links to other useful information. Making sure you add a little humor. There is no profile that can't have humor in it. Even the most serious of businesses can have humor. And then the three bolded areas here are probably your best bet when it comes to social content. This is how customers like to actually consume their content. They like lists, and when I've listed here top 10 tips, 5 things that 6 steps to, and checklists, consumers like to be able to read top tips to do X, and then they look for headlines in that content to go, oh, what are those tips? Have I done those things? 5 things that wake you up in the morning. That's great. Do I do those things? So I'm looking for those 5 quick things. Practical advice and compilation reviews are exactly the same. People want to see a step-by-step guide to doing something or a beginner's guide so that they can learn. There's a hunger in our community to continue learning at the moment, and we're doing that through a series of YouTube videos. I hope everyone knows YouTube is most well known for how-to videos. It's actually the highest rating site for how-to videos. We've also got compilation reviews so that we can assess ourselves as customers to see, are we doing those things? Am I keeping up with the Joneses? Am I meeting all the trends in community and society? This is how we consume content. So it could be 8 upcoming trends in home meals for kids. This is where Jamie Oliver's very successful in creating 15-minute meals or dinners under 30 minutes. And we've got Coles offering dinners for under $10. We've got, 5 most interesting things that you can do on a Saturday before 10 a.m. We provide content that creates engagement, and it doesn't always have to relate to your immediate product. It's about being useful. Keep going back to that purpose, content that has purpose and has utility, usefulness. So the last 3 things here, last 4 in fact, infographics, reviews, testimonials, behind the scenes, and interviews or vox pops. And vox pops are where you see the nightly news camera turn to a customer and say, so what did you think about this announcement today, or about this new launch, or this event, or this competition? And just getting a very quick 5-second grab from a customer that's not structured and certainly not rehearsed. So there's a whole bunch of ideas to be able to put into play. Now, behind the scenes, teams and culture, again, is quite important. People like to see what happens before you get the polished product in front of you. So maybe it's preparation time. Maybe it's all the small steps people don't see before the end result. Now, if that could be a retail window, maybe it's a time-lapse video of watching a window be dressed. If it's a coffee house, how is it that you're preparing all your coffee beans and how are they stored, perhaps? It's giving a little bit away about how your business runs and the things that people don't normally see. And teams and culture is all about how you treat your people and your staff, how you reward yourselves, the fun that you might have along the way. And again, all of this keeps going back to just being human and sharing these interactions, because people buy from people that they like. So on top of that, we've got our reviews and testimonials. People want to see that there's proof in the pudding. That if someone is willing to put their name to a comment about what you do or don't do, or the service that you provide, that you should share that sentiment and share that positivity, because it adds value. Think of this no differently to TripAdvisor before you book a holiday or a restaurant or an activity. Typically, our behavior is to go and look at reviews to see if this was a good experience or a bad experience, and whether or not they would like to proceed. All of these are proof points that your customers are looking for, and they should also be part of your content plan overall when you're going through your social planning. So here are a couple of examples that I thought could be really useful. The first one is actually all about bedding. So it's from a place called Bed Threads. And you can see here 16 easy decorating hacks to make your tiny bedroom feel huge. So straight away, the headline is to capture you and say, oh, I have a small bedroom. Actually, what sort of things are they doing that I could probably do if I haven't done them already? So straight away, it's asking people to have what's called a yes statement, to nod along and say, I agree with that. I'm interested in this. What can I do to meet the things that are going to make my bedroom feel bigger? Now, of course, some of that is going to be related to how the bed might be dressed, or some of the decor or positioning, and also colours of the linen as well. So essentially, whilst it's 16 easy decorating tips, it can easily be turned into a product-related post. Beneath that, we have the Village of Bowral. And this is a homemaker centre, a small homemaker centre. And we're actually talking about bathroom tiles. That's essentially what we're trying to promote, Don Ceramics. But you can see here in the post, it's actually all about the trends of having exposed plumbing as the feature in the bathroom. So we're not talking about the tiles. The tiles are in there, but we're actually focused on the trend, which is all about the exposed plumbing. And the image is actually coming from someone else. We're tagging them. This is a great way of being able to generate people's interest when you don't have them as a follower, because they might be following firstly that particular individual. And you can also see the range of hashtags that are being used so that we can find other followers. On the right-hand side, you've got Pillow Talk Australia, a big retailer in linen as well and homewares. And this is not about pillows. This is actually all about decorating tips for your home. So you can see here they do have a clearance sale. You can actually see that within the post. But what they're showing you is that grouping decorative objects in groups of 3 can actually make your home feel differently. So that will encourage people to come into Pillow Talk to look for the plants, and then more than likely start to look at their other linen and what else they could be using. And then the last example I've got in here is from an arcade. So it's the Springett's Arcade locally to where I am. And this is all about Baker's Delight and what they're going to be doing and what initiative they've introduced to reduce waste in their community and assist the farmers within the Southern Highlands region. So taking something that's very topical, drought, turning it into something local, which is all about the Southern Highlands. And this is actually taking another trend, and it's not necessarily a trend, it's a global trend, to reduce our waste and impact on our sustainability, and removing the use of single-use plastic bags as an example. So you can see here there's lots of different ways to create content that is useful, that is valuable, and it always goes back to the customer and what's important to them. This next area is related specifically to Instagram. So there are 2 key areas of Instagram that you really need to be aware of. In your planning, you need to focus on a few different things. So the first thing I'm going to show you is this, and this is link in bio. You only have one link in your bio, and that is, you only have one link in Instagram, and that is in your bio. And what you can see here is we've actually got a link called Linktree for Banter Group. Now, Linktree means that it's a paid platform. It's about $6 a month to get this set up. It's really easy. And what it does is delivers you a landing page in between your Instagram post and where the customer's going to go. So this is the landing page and what it looks like. You can customize this. You can see it's branded with Banter Group here. And these are the current links that we were using within our socials. Now, when I say current links, when I'm posting in Instagram, I can actually say, oh, check this out, guys, link in bio. Now, you can't put a link in a post. It doesn't click through. You can only have it in your bio. So when a customer then goes to our bio and sees the link, they will actually land in this mini landing page online, and they can pick exactly where they would like to go from our social posting. So I highly encourage you to look at a program like Linktree. Like I said, about $6 a month. It is US dollars, so that can fluctuate. The next thing that you've got here is highlights. Now, I've talked about stories for Instagram in the beginners video. So if you haven't heard that, please go and watch that video within the Retailer Academy. Now, stories for Instagram only last 24 hours, but if you're going to be creating content, don't let it just last for 24 hours. This is your ideal opportunity to turn around and say, I want my content to last longer, and it should. And that's where you create story highlights. It's like a mini library of where you can park all of your stories. So our highlights are in the know, education, our work, and the banter. So the banter is all the fun stuff. The work is examples of all the work my agency does. Education are quick tips and tricks that I'm trying to teach when I'm posting on social. And then lastly, in the know, so things that we're aware of within marketing, within branding, and other customer storytelling. So when we create our stories, we actually put them into one of these highlight buckets, so that if you would like to go and look at all of our work, all the stories that we've created will live on in these buckets, in these highlights, as long as you create them. Now, you can brand these highlights. As you can see, ours are branded, and all it takes is in Instagram being able to select the one option that says, make this my highlight cover. And you can make any picture your highlight cover. The next step in your social is, how good does your imagery actually look? Now, this is really important. On the left, you've got Banter Group. This is my agency, and you can see we have a slight consistency, and it's not unexpected, it's absolutely intentional. So firstly, the yellow and green that you can see in my feed are our brand colors. This lady here with the black curly hair, she's actually a character we've created, so there's a consistency in showing her. We also like to have some humanized people pictures. Now, in the middle, you can see there's Coca-Cola. Again, very styled. It's all about having a visual identity that people can recognize. We would hope that in social and in your own marketing, that at any time someone sees a picture, they would be able to recognize whether or not this is from you versus your competitor. On the right-hand side here, it's a real estate agent. Again, consistency. Adding filters that create consistency can really help. So picking an Instagram filter, for example, and having an overlay, this is where you can see sold or agency of the year, is actually using an overlay to create a consistency with imagery. So see how you're going to create your visual identity, see what your brand is, create something that feels consistent, and that's what the success of social media, particularly on Instagram, can be focused on, as long as your content is valuable. The next step in your planning is really to start with a blank calendar planner. If you don't have one, you can use something like this. It can just be something that you print off the internet as a template. This is one for a monthly planner, and I would recommend that you do plan at least a month in advance. Now, the reason I say that is social media can be very time consuming. So you might actually want to make sure that you're consolidating your time and effort into chunks so that you're in the mindset and it actually makes your social media much, much easier. So in the top right-hand corner, we have a key, and this one's color coordinated, and you can create the colors against your content pillars and themes. So local might be yellow. You might have products and services that are blue, and you might have testimonials, for example, that are purple. So when you start planning, you may like to use a color coordinated pattern so you can see where the gaps are in talking about product or talking about testimonials and customers. It's entirely up to you how you'd like to use your planner. But the first part of planning is to say, what days of the week are my customers active? So if you're not open on a certain day of the week, that's a good time not to post because you're not actually open. You don't want to create an environment that disappoints people. And then going through your diary. what am I doing this week or in the next 2 weeks that could be interesting in terms of offers, or what's the centre doing that I can support? Have I got school holidays coming up? Is there a national holiday like Mother's Day or Father's Day or a long weekend? Planning around known factors that are in your diary day in, day out. Now, that could also be a team member's birthday. It could also be a celebration of your centre achieving a certain milestone. So firstly, pencil in all of those ideas. Now, when it comes to content calendar planning, I typically have one of these printed out, and whilst I'm digital, I definitely have a paper version, and I'm scribbling on it all the time. So before I go into design and copywriting and photography, I'm actually working out exactly what I'm going to say and when, so that I know that there's a consistency, and I also know that I'm covering all my bases at once. This is what the great idea of having a blank calendar planner is for. Next is a more confusing version, and I wouldn't say confusing, but it has to have some order. So using each of your content pillars, using each of the blank calendar templates, you can see here I've got a 7-day week running along the top, but I've also got Facebook and then Facebook stories, then Instagram and Instagram stories. Now that's essentially 1 week, 2 weeks, and then it repeats week 3, week 4. So this is essentially 1 month's content calendar planner. So straight away, I'm going to go to Facebook, and the content pillar is, this is me, this is the idea, and it's going to be a photo of me, and I'm going to post this at 8 a.m. Now, the concept around this is at 8 a.m., let's say parents are getting ready for their kids for school, they're getting ready for work, they're also doing a catch-up. So I'm going to capture people at 8 a.m. before their workday commences. And if I look at Wednesday, I'm going to be talking to locals. It's about our specials, and I'm going to create a collage of those specials. And I'm posting this at 7:30 in the morning. Now, again, before the workday commences, and what I'm trying to do is seed into people's minds that I have a local special for dinner tonight, for example, and trying to capture them before they go through, oh, I've taken something out of the freezer and I'm ready to cook for that evening. I'm actually encouraging them to say, hey, why don't you come and pick something up from us for your local special? Then moving into Friday, I love to live local. And this is going to be a range of different images. So it's a multi-image and uploading 3 or 4 at the same time. And this is going to be at 9 o'clock at night. Now, the reason this is at 9 o'clock at night is it's Friday evening. I'm using my sentiment around what customers are doing. They're at home, they've finished work, their kids are in bed, the kitchen's nice and tidy. 9 o'clock, I've plonked myself on the couch, I'm watching TV, and I'm on social media. So to maximize my social media, I need the first hour of interactivity. So posting when my customers are actually online is the most useful thing I can do. Next, Saturday, Super Saturday. It's a family video. It could be something of what I'm up to. What does a Saturday morning look like? It could be part of the preparation. And it's at 9:30 in the morning when everyone's had a little bit of a rest. So that's what Facebook's doing. And then dovetailed into this is Facebook stories. Again, something different and on different days of the week. You can see that I've only programmed for 2 stories in that week. But if you look at Instagram, there's actually 4 stories in the same week. So I'm trying to mix up content between Facebook feed and stories, Instagram feed and stories, and they can't overlap. So when I say they can't overlap, I've talked before about not using that automatic post button on Instagram that automatically posts to Facebook. When I look at Instagram, I'm doing a Tuesday local shout out. So Facebook has Monday covered, Instagram has Tuesday covered. I'm not necessarily doubling up on Facebook, on Instagram in the same week. And you can see here on Monday on Facebook, but Instagram is on stories, not the feed. So trying to work out your planning to say what's the most valuable, useful post for this time and creating a bit of a planner. So local shout out here, On stories, we've got a behind the scene, and I'm going to use Boomerang. And Boomerang is a tool where it's a very easy tool. Most people have probably seen this on Instagram. You record a 3-second video and it loops, so it goes on repeat. On Thursday, it's all about open late, and I'm going to have a photo, and it's 2:30 in the afternoon, so I'm now capturing the school pickup environment. I'm actually looking for where parents are and saying, hey, we're open late, and I'm doing that right when they're sitting in the car park all ready for school pickup. On Friday, I've got an in-centre video, and this is all about what's happening on Saturday. So I'm actually posting Friday afternoon content to drive people to a centre on the Saturday, the next day. And in this environment, I'm using video, and I'm going to have multi-posts so that people can see really the interactivity that's happening, and stories, because it's the last 24 hours, will be the most relevant platform for this to happen on. And then Sunday, nice quiet chill out weekend. What we've got is, this is our region. This is where we live. What a beautiful weekend it might have been. Or it could just be, look at the rain that came down and our farmers are loving it, and congratulations, Australia, we're catching up. This is all about adding your commentary. So you can see here that once you have a structure, the next step is actually implementing that structure. Having this plan is only as good as you actually doing the posts. So we then have a quick rundown on some of the content options that you have available when it comes to video in Facebook. So the first one, it's called native video, if you haven't heard this term before. Native video means that it's been recorded on your phone and uploaded to Facebook directly. This is not putting in a YouTube link. This is actually uploading directly to Facebook, because Facebook's biggest competitor is YouTube. They want you to keep your eyeballs on Facebook, not go to their competitor. So we need to think of, when you're creating content, and for example, YouTube is filmed in a landscape format, and Facebook should be filmed in a portrait format. That's really important to remember. They're very different formats. The first format you have is a short form square video. Now this is 15-second videos and under. Now it could be to drive people to your blog post. It could be to get a very quick message out. It could also be just about, this is what we've got going on, come down and see us. But the most important part about a short form square video is that it needs to be shot in a certain format, which is a 1:1 or 4:5 ratio. Now that's where you go into your media player settings on your phone and make sure that that's what you're recording in. This is really important because Facebook changed the algorithm rules some time ago now to say, if it's not in this format, we won't actually put it in the feed. Now, the reason being is mobile phones are actually quite long. They're portrait, and a square form video means that it's going to take up less space on that screen, and Facebook can actually add more content on a single screen if the video is square. So that's actually a really important aspect. Next, you have long form video. Now this is 3 minutes or more. 3 to 5 minutes is usually optimal. And what Facebook is looking for, particularly with Facebook Live, is between 3 and 4 minutes of content. Now, this could be something as simple as, hey guys, I'm going to show you how to do this right now, in the moment, 3 to 5 minute video. Please, when you're doing video content, practice and have a structure so that you're ready, so that you're not umming and ahhing through your video. Make sure that you're considering the content. Lastly, we've got episodic video. Now, this is where we've got between 18 and 20 minutes of video. That's a very long time in social. If you can create episodes, people become used to you and they start to plan to watch for you. This is very valuable in certain industries, but you do have to have a plan. So you might be actually launching, let's say, a 5-part series once a week, 20 minutes, see you on Friday. So people become used to the fact that it's on Fridays, it's 20 minutes long, and there's 5 episodes in the series. So you have to have the structure about what each episode is going to cover, and I would suggest that you have that thought out before you even start, to make sure that you don't get halfway through and go, oh, really? It should have been maybe an 8 series video. So before you crack on with your plans and posting, before you actually hit the post button, this is a very quick checklist for you to consider. What is your objective and what are you going to achieve? Now that's going right back to the social metrics map and making sure that you're aligning your metrics. Who are you writing this for? Which customer is it? And where in their journey are you? Are they at the top of the funnel, which is that awareness area, versus consideration or advocacy down the bottom? Next is, what asset are you going to use? You've got so many options. It's not just either a photo or a video. You can create a collage. You can create a multi-image post. You could be using an external link. My next point, number 5, using a tool. That could be, are you using Boomerang? Have you put in filters as well? Did you want to add any type of animation? Number 6, if you're tagging and mentioning people, this is including a check-in, using any type of map references as well. Making sure that you've added relevant hashtags, because that's how we get found. Is there a call to action? Have you actually told people what you want them to do? This is a really important part. We're very time poor. We can't think for ourselves anymore. Agreeing on your metric and making sure it matches that objective in number 1. And lastly, are you actually going to engage with your customers when they're online? Because I find a lot of people post at the wrong time of day because it suits them. It's not when it suits their customer, it's when it suits them. So if your customers aren't online at 11 o'clock in the morning, don't post at 11 o'clock in the morning. Post when it suits your customer. Now I've got some quick tips on video production. There's lots of things you can do. But first and foremost, you can do this on your mobile phone. Smartphones are intelligent with great built-in cameras. So a thumbnail is the picture that is frozen on a video before you post it. Now, a lot of the time people don't really look at their faces at that moment, and it can be quite uncomfortable. So you can actually change the thumbnail on your video. So please look at what that frozen picture looks like, because that's what you're uploading and that's what everyone will see. Put it in the platform itself. This goes back to what I just said about Facebook and not linking out to YouTube. This is native content that needs to be embedded into the platform, and different lengths for different platforms. We have Instagram TV, and that can be up to 60 minutes of content, versus I'm not really sure that a lot of customers will be watching 60-minute episodes on Facebook. And as well, that's not what we've become accustomed to for Facebook. So make sure that if you're going to be doing a video, that it matches the platform, and YouTube will accept a much longer video format, of course. Make sure you're thinking about subtitles, because not everyone watches with the sound on. So if you are going to do, let's say, a 20-minute episodic video, then you need to have subtitles or captions at the bottom. Now, there's a great platform called rev.com, rev.com. You can upload a video to Rev, and it comes back with the captions completed for you, and it's only charged at $1 a minute, and it's actually very accurate. So that's something to consider for you as well. If you will be using sound, make sure that the quality is good and you're not facing things like wind blowing in your microphone when you're speaking. You've then got how-to videos. I mentioned that YouTube is the biggest channel for how-to videos, and using video editing tools that can speed up videos as well. So that's where you can have time-lapse videos, both slower and faster. To create emotion in these videos as well, you can add music. That works very well, different fonts or stickers and overlays over the top, and also consider the language that you're going to use in your video. And also the actual production of, if you're going to be fairly animated and fun or fairly serious, all of those things create emotion. Now, where emotion is important is emotion creates action. We need hashtags and keywords added to all your video descriptions. This isn't just the fun part of adding a hashtag, it's actually how your content gets discovered. So don't just create content for a small group of people, make sure it can be discovered so that you can find more customers. Include that call to action, make sure you know what you're asking people to do. Say it at the beginning, say it at the middle, say it at the end, but keep ensuring your audience what it is that you want them to do. And from my video, what I really want you to do is actually carry out the planning. Doing the planning's one thing. You actually have to carry it out to see the success. Creating headlines that are specific, and as I've written here, create curiosity. This is where some of the compilation reviews, 5 reasons why you should do X. As a customer, I'm going to want to know, oh gosh, do I need to adhere to these reasons? Have I considered this? I don't want to be left behind. Including user-generated content. This is the proof point of using your advocates, your customers who are saying great things about you. Now, if someone's going to do a shout out for you, make sure that you actually share that within your feeds and your stories as well. So really, when it comes to implementing your social, this quick graphic here, you should be very comfortable with every single aspect of this graph. If you're unsure on how to do any of these things, firstly, start with going through the Retailer Academy Beginner's Guide to Social Media. That would certainly give you a lot of these tips and tricks. And I'm actually showing you where stickers and emojis are and how to create a story and what a mention is and what filters you can apply. So if you're unsure, please go watch the beginner's video. When you're looking at your content, the last step for you to look at is how you're going to analyze if that content is working. Now, the first thing you should consider is all your external influencing factors. A lot of people can say, oh, I posted this and it really didn't work. And they actually forgot that perhaps there was a fire in the region or floods or a pandemic or, as we've had with COVID, everything being closed. So things aren't going to perform in the same way that they may have in the past. So always look at an external factor, not an internal factor. Number 2 is start analyzing your content based on the objective. So is your objective reach? How did it perform? If your objective was video views, how did that perform? Now, some of the things that might affect your objective is the external factor, but also what day of the week that you posted it and what time of the day that you posted it. Those 2 things might affect your overall objective greatly. So I've only been able to work this out by practicing, and that's what you need to do. Post on different times and different days of the week and see what happens. But you have to have a hypothesis. Now that's saying, I think Sunday will perform better than Tuesday. And then post and prove yourself right or wrong. And not only that, I think posting before 10 a.m. on a Sunday will perform better than posting before 10 a.m. on a Tuesday. So you need to actually create what's the test that I'm looking for and what am I going to analyze its success against. So what's the core of the best performing activity? Is it the fact that it included you as a business owner perhaps? Or was it because it was your team? Now, I find when I'm posting for my agency, when I post myself or my team, they are by far the greatest posts of engagement that I could ask for. Now, that is terrific if my objective is engagement. But a lot of the time, my objective is to reach as many people as I can. So you have to measure what is it that I set out to do and what is the core of what's actually performing. It could be that your products and services always get the best response. It could be that your competition gets the best response. It could be anything, but you need to look at it and assess it. Now, when it comes to scheduling your social, there are so many options. Now, scheduling means that you don't have to be there every single day posting. Like I said, sit down with a chunk of time, actually get it done in one go. I would say 2 weeks at a time in the retail sector is actually quite reasonable, and allowing that schedule to have gaps in its planning to fit in things that you can't foresee and changes that might happen immediately on that day. So let's just say, you're not expecting a day of bucketing rain, but it is. When it is, you can actually say, oh, I've got a hot chocolate offer, for example, to warm you all up today. But there are loads of tools to enable you to schedule. where you can plan and post these in advance in a scheduling tool, and the tool itself will actually do the posting for you. Now, Facebook has a scheduler built into it, but Instagram doesn't. So when you're trying to do things in two different platforms, you might want to look at one of these different options. They are all different, and there are so many more. There's free platforms. There's obviously going to be a freemium product and then a premium product that people are asking you to pay for. You just need to go and assess each one based on your needs and complexity and how many users and how many profiles you might want to have included. So my quickest summary for you. When you're posting on social, it's going to take at least 4 posts a week to be relevant, or there's no point being there. So consider if you have the time and if you have the resourcing to be able to deliver against what social requires. If you're going to get greater reach of your audiences, then you need to consider sponsored posts. The third video in this series at the moment is actually for the Retailer Academy Advanced series, which is actually using Business Manager to sponsor posts in Facebook and Instagram. Use your stories. It's the new feed. It's our behavior on what we're doing with these platforms. And always consider when your customer is online and what your analytics are telling you. Now, in Instagram, your analytics tab will only show you data for a 2-week period. You need to use a tool if you want to go further back than 2 weeks. Make sure you mix up your formats. Each of the platforms want to see a mix of photo, video, a GIF, an animated GIF, or a multi-image, collages. There's lots of different options. This includes going live versus pre-recorded video. Making sure you're using hashtags, relevant ones that are going to get you found, are really important. So to pull together what we've just covered, you need to find your authority to speak, what you've got a right to talk about, and that's going to create your content pillars and themes. Once you have your themes, start with a printed out monthly calendar and start going through your diary and working out what you can talk about and what's relevant at that time. Categorize your responses to your content and your analytics so you can actually see what's working. Do more of what's working and less of what's not, and keep testing, because customers change their behavior and the way we do things. Now, I've put in here weekly research and browsing. The best way to keep evolving in social is to follow what other people are doing and get different ideas. And that, in my opinion, should be no less than an hour a day on social media. Be brave and get out there, learn from other people, watch what they're doing, read what they're doing, listen to the advice and the education that's being provided for you, and most importantly, just get out there and give it a go. If you fail, it's okay. What you need to take away from that is get back up again and work out that what you didn't work, but what are you going to do differently that does? I really hope you've enjoyed today's session. My details are here if you need to find me, and the Retailer Academy online video series is there to support you in your social media. Good luck. Thanks for joining me on this webinar. I hope you've taken out a lot of key insights and actions that you can take away right from today and put them into action for your business.